Yep, you've read the title. I've actually created an app. The app is actually for Plants vs. Zombies 2 level makers. Or, you know, just, I guess people who want to get into it. I've had this idea for a while, but let me just show you what it is. This is it, the PvZ2 Level Generator App. You open it up, and essentially, it grants you the ability to create, like, to generate levels. I would say create levels, but it's not really create, it's generate. So essentially, this is compatible with any mod, any version of PvZ2, you know, as long as the code for the version or mod you're using is, you know, properly done. This will work. First thing you have to do is you have to import JSON files. JSON files are basically just like files that store data. They're essentially just database files. And every version of PvZ2, every mod of PvZ2 has one for zombie properties and zombie types. These two essentially define every zombie in the game. With the release of the app, I have already included the reflourished folder containing zombie properties and zombie types for reflourished. Meaning you can just go ahead, import both of them, and there you go. You're shown a list of every zombie in the game that you can just do whatever with. Now, what did I mean when I said it's for generating levels and not creating levels? Well, you see, this is essentially emulating Insanity and Endless. It will give you an output that is essentially just information about the waves of the level. So this isn't used for, you know, adding gimmicks to the level, setting where, like, where it's gonna be, Big Wave Beach, you know, mixtape, or like what world. You can't, you know, edit grid item spawns or stuff like that. Like, this is just for the waves. Just for the zombies that actually appear in the level. That's what this is for. Once you've imported all this, you can immediately see that every zombie is referred to by their type name, not by their actual name. So, for example, basic zombie is tutorial internally. Like, every zombie internally has a type name. Some of them are pretty self-evident, but usually, you know, there's usually there's some kind of discrepancy. For example, you know, Crystal Skull instead of what's his real name? Turquoise Skull. Yeah, that's it, Turquoise Skull. But generally, you can pretty much tell what all of these are supposed to be. So, let's say we want to make a level, generate a level that has every Dark Ages zombie. Well, there's a search functionality up there so that we don't have to scour the entire list, where if we just input dark, well, there is. These are all of the Dark Ages zombies in those two files. You click on the zombie you want to add, you click add zombie, and there you go. Now it's in your level. What's cool about this is you can hold shift to insert multiple zombies at once. You can click this, you know, top left part to select everything and just insert everything. Now, there are some things that you have to keep attention out for. Mainly, flag zombies don't, you know, usually spawn in levels, so you're probably gonna want to remove those. Yeah, you don't want zombosses in your level. Here, for example, Dark Imp Dragon never spawns usually. Let's just remove Alper Zombies, Infected and Grave Dropper. Let's remove Wizard Veteran Vanilla, because yuck. That guy is yucky. And there we go. These are all of the Dark Ages zombies. Now, because I used multi-select to actually do this, I was able to import all of them because they just bypass... Well, bypass filters in a way that, you know, they automatically get converted to something that can be used in the level. But if I were to add, like, let's say Dark Flag by itself, I will be asked if I'm sure of it, because the weight is 0. Weight is 0 and waypoint cost is 0. That cannot be... That cannot be used. So it's gonna ask you if you want to change the weight value to 1000, and that's when it's gonna allow you to actually add it. Now there is a manual provided with this app that I've written that kind of just explains what everything does and what, you know, like what PvZ2 actually does with these values, but I will summarize here. So, waypoint cost. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, you can click on these to order them. This is, you know, alphabetically, this is by waypoint cost, this is by weight. Essentially, what I was gonna say, waypoint cost is... Imagine that every zombie has a price to be used, depending on how dangerous it is. So, for example, you know, let me actually, yeah, let's stay within the Dark Ages zombies, because that's easier to kind of explain. You know, you've got your really basic, you know, nothing special zombies, like basic, flag, imp, robber. Infect is just a variant of the basic. All of those are 100. 100 is basically like the default, right? So what the game does to actually summon zombies when it's, you know, creating levels in Endless or Insanity is actually it checks if the wave can even afford the zombie. Every wave has a certain amount of points that it can spend, and the zombies all have different prices in terms of, you know, if the wave wants to use this zombie, it has to use up this many points. So, you know, if a wave were to have 200 points, it could spawn 2 Dark Ages basics, 2 Dark Ages imps, 1 Dark Ages basic, 1 Dark Ages imp, or a Dark Ages Conehead, which is armor 1. So no matter what, if it has 200 points, it will somehow, you know, mix and match what it can afford and kind of just send that out. You know, you have zombies that are like 700, 750, Dark Wizard is 1000. So yeah, you can kind of see different zombies have different point costs because they're more or less dangerous. In terms of weight is kind of like what determines how frequent a zombie is going to spawn, if it can be spawned. So for example, because all of the, you know, basic kind of zombies have 1000 and all of the specials have kind of 2 or 3, if it can afford both basics and it can afford like these more special zombies, because the special zombies have a higher weight, it's more likely to spawn the more special ones. Okay, now that I got that kind of out of the way, you can... For the zombies in your level, if you're not satisfied with the values that were provided to you by just, you know, by the zombies in the JSON files, because these are the values used for Endless, and if you don't want to abide by the same values used for Endless, you can just select a zombie, click Edit Zombie, and you can just like do whatever you want. Like, let's say you want kinks to have less weight, so they're not as frequent. Well, there you go. Just do that, and now they're 1000 weight. This brings us to the second part of the app. So, because I mentioned that waves contain points to spend within them, we actually have to create those waves. That's done in the wave editor. Immediately, it's gonna ask you how many flags and waves per flag the level should be, because, you know, every level is divided into flags, and it's always consistent. Well, at least it should be. Sometimes bugs happen, but most of the time, you know, every single flag is gonna have the same amount of waves per flag. So, I don't know, we could do 2 flags with 6 waves per flag. In total, this will be 12 waves. Or, I guess, let's go for something more lengthy, like, you know, 3 times 6, 18. And here we go. It automatically generates the waves that we're gonna be using. Now, all of them have points to spend as 0 by default, but we can double-click and just, you know, change that to whatever we want. Once something is changed, you have the option to reset all of them to 0 in case you want to start over. But I honestly rarely kind of use that. I just give it as an option. Yeah, you can see that they're also color-coded, so the green ones are the flag waves, and the blue ones are just kind of like your typical run-of-the-mill waves. You may have noticed that there's a C auto generation controls option here. Well, this is something I'm really proud of, because I actually came up with the idea for this app back when I had to make a lot of, you know, a lot of levels where I just kind of knew which zombies I wanted to use, and I also just, you know, I just wanted the level to kind of just happen, because manually making like 20, 30, 40 waves isn't just tedious. Same thing for Penny's challenges. I also had the same need for, you know, when I was making Penny's challenges. So this is where I developed this kind of system. At first this was just a simple C++ script, but I later gave it this graphical interface. It started with this, with the auto generation controls, because these are quite powerful. I also use these to generate templates that Insanity uses. So this right here is literally giving you access to the same tools that I made for myself when I was actually giving Insanity new templates to use. That being said, how does it actually work? First of all, you have points of the first wave that you can set, and in most cases you usually want to keep that to 100, because you don't really want things on the first wave that aren't just like a basic. And if you make it anything larger than 100, like, I mean, you can go for it if you want to, but like, if you set it to 200 and 300, then the other controls are just gonna keep adding on to that, so you're gonna need to manually adjust some things at that point, but I'll get there. Iteration number essentially means by how much does how much points get added for every new wave. So let's say I put 50, so then first wave is gonna be 100 and 150, then 200, 250, you get it. Usually you can set that something like that, like I usually go from 50 to 100, around that range. The next option is something a little more, something a little different. Acceleration intensity is basically a value that you can insert from 1 to 10. Because it dictates intensity, it's not actually a value for points. That being said, you can go above 10, but I don't recommend it. As for what it does, like, let's set it to 6. That just means that it adds acceleration to the waves. Which means it's not just gonna be a linear acceleration of just like 100, 150, 200, 250. But as the level goes on, it's gonna keep adding more and more and more and more. So it's essentially a way to make levels feel less robotic and also kinda focus more on the late game. The higher you put this intensity, the more insane acceleration is gonna get. So if you want something ridiculous, you can go for like 20 or 30, but I don't suggest you doing that. Randomness intensity is pretty much the same thing, just for randomness, like just to kind of offset things a little. the higher the intensity, the more random things are gonna get, which, if you want to go for that, be my guest. I actually did quite frequently put randomness up to like 15, sometimes even 16, 17, just because it's fun. But usually, if you want to keep things sensible, you go between 1 and 10. So, you know, I'm gonna go for 4. Just a little bit of randomness. Flag add-on, now we're back to like the point values. Flag add-on essentially just means how much extra do you want flags to have in terms of points. So like whatever it should be, it gets 500 added onto it. Final wave thing is the same, so that just, you know, just do that to give the final wave more points than you know, the usual generation would give, just to make it feel more impactful. Once I click generate, because I have 100 here, it's gonna ask me if I wanna, you know, discard my current waves, which I do. And then you see how it kind of got generated. 100, 200, 250, 300, 450. I think the reason it didn't jump from 100 to 150 is because of the randomness. So the randomness added a little bit onto it. And then you can see the final is 4100. We can click apply waves, which applies our waves here. This is our level. These are the zombies that are going to be used in the level. I can just delete this and, you know, go back to everything, just check if I want to add something else maybe. Last thing I would suggest is reduce the weight of Gargs, because I don't know why by default they have 3000 weight, which is kind of a lot. So I set them to 500 so they don't get spammed once the level gets, you know, into these higher point registers. You can also edit the minimum and maximum next wave health percentages. These just basically dictate the pacing of the level, like how fast you want waves to transition into the next ones. For a flourish, the default values are 0.5 and 0.65, so I just set those here as the defaults. That being said, if you do want to make a level for a different mod, make sure to input the ones that mod uses by default. Or if you don't want to follow anything, you can just set these to whatever you want. Make sure that it's between 0 and 1, because these are percentages. And neither of them can be 0, because at that point it's just like, what's the point? But yeah, I'll keep these here because I'm making a reflourish level, and when I click generate level waves, there you go. This is all the code needed for the waves of your level. And let's see. The first wave's gonna have a basic, then a cone head, then a basic. Oh, I forgot to remove flags. Okay, yeah, I gave that as like an example. Yeah, let's remove the flag. Okay, once we generate again, it's gonna be different. So every time you click generate, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be using the same data. It's just gonna differently mission match zombies. So yeah, now we have a basic, then an imp and a basic, and you know, you get it. So now you can select to either copy it to clipboard directly, if you're already making a level, and you can also save it as a TXT file. I'll copy it, because I'm going to be using Dark Ages 26 from Reflourished as my template for this level. And what I need to do now is just replace Wave Manager props and all of the waves within it with the ones generated by the tool. And we can see now it's kind of fulfilling the same role as the previous ones used to. Everything above that is for other things, you know, like where graves are, like if there's pre-placed plants, what text gets shown up. But all of that, there's already tools made for all of that. So if you want to manually do those, I recommend going to other tools that exist, because my tool is just made for the actual waves themselves.
A few moments later.
And now that I've imported the level into the game, there we go. We have Dark Ages 926 with completely new zombies. well, new waves. There's still a lot of overlapping zombies here because I'm pretty sure the original Dark Ages Night 26 had Jester and Wizard Veteran. Not sure if it had Wizard, but the point is, we could have put whatever we wanted here. I just wanted a quick demonstration. The one zombie that didn't appear is the Dark Gargantuar. Probably because I set his weight too low, so be on a lookout for that. I think I overshot it a little bit. It's fine though, we don't need a Garg. So, yeah. All of the objectives are the same, you know, all of everything else is the same, but the waves are brand new. And the funny thing here is, because of this tool being very scalable on purpose, you could make a level with like 60 to 70 waves in like no time. And obviously the tool ain't perfect, you know, sometimes it will create levels that aren't really all that great, but there's a lot of customization options in there. I'm pretty sure that, you know, if people aren't satisfied with some of their generations, they'll figure out maybe how to tweak some of their settings a little bit, like find kind of the numbers that they really like the results of. And, you know, at the end of the day, this isn't supposed to replace manual level creation. This is mainly to aid manual level creation. Because for people that don't really make PvZ2 levels, I think this is going to be a nice way for them to enter into this world of, you know, level creation and creativity. As for the people who actually do make levels and already know how to make levels, I see this tool as a great, how do I put it? Time saver. Yeah, I think that's the best way I can put it. It's just a great way to immediately generate your waves, and then based on what the tool generates, you can, you know, manually adjust a lot of the things there. You can review it, you can maybe just do it to see what it generates, to maybe, like, you know, search for some ideas. But the point is, what you see is what you get. This is pretty much exactly how Insanity and Endless would generate a level, except you have a lot of control over what you want it to generate. And I just think that idea is pretty cool. I've initially started this project, like, well, technically last year, since I was making a script that would allow me to generate levels based on wave data that I would input. Kind of, again, the same idea as with Endless and Insanity and how those work. I'm playing terribly, by the way, because I'm just mostly focused on explaining what I had in mind for the app. But yeah, that's how I created the Chosen One. The Chosen One was not created by, you know, manually spamming copy-paste. It was created with a very early version of this tool. That was also kind of a test run to just, like, see how useful it could be. I've also given it to our Reflourish developers. Many of them... well, there we go. Many of them have tried it and said it was useful. Some people don't want to use it, which I'm completely fine with. It's just meant to be, you know, a tool that helps you out. If you don't think it helps you out, there's no need to use it. Either way, looking at it, though, I am very proud of what I managed to create. I honestly just did this to see if I could. Because I've been coding a lot, you know, in general. And recently I've learned how to make Windows apps, so I thought, why not give it a shot? Maybe it's gonna help more people out than just our Reflourish team, and I made sure to add options for support for other mods, and just in general try to make it a very seamless and easy experience that anyone could get into if they're just curious about it, they just maybe want to give it a shot. As for the other elements of level making, there's a lot of resources out there. There's a lot of resources on how to import levels into your game to actually, you know, try them out, play them. I'm pretty sure our server even has, like, instructions on that. But just in general, yeah, I will be happy to see anyone have a good time with this. Doesn't even have to be for a specific project. I just like the fact that this could help people get into level creation, because it's a little bit complicated, and I think this app is a nice way to introduce the basic concepts of it and kind of present it in a more user-friendly way. Now that all of that is done, I do have an announcement to make. I've also just used the syntax tracker to check if my JSON would have the correct syntax. There is one thing I have to say in regards to this channel, and that is that I will be rebranding soon. Don't worry, I'm still gonna be PMix, it's still gonna be my nick, because that has been my nick for the last, like, nearly 10 years, holy. That's gonna remain the same. I just wanna rebrand a little bit away from PvZ. I have been making music for so many other things that are not related to PvZ or Reflourished, and I just felt that I couldn't really post them on this channel, because whenever I did, they wouldn't really get the attention that I wanted. It's not like I make music for the views, but, you know, it kind of demotivates me a little bit when I'm very proud of a musical track I made, but because it's on the PvZ channel, it doesn't really, you know, intrigue many people. So I'm gonna be changing my avatar. It's not really gonna be PvZ themed anymore. I'm still gonna try to have him be in the same spirit that, you know, the pea shooter with headphones has been so far. But yeah, I will be sharing a lot more music that isn't related to Reflourished or PvZ in any way, and I really want to have the channel generally feel like it can branch out more than just PvZ, and I am very excited for that. So, all in all, thank you for watching. In terms of the tool, I hope people find it useful, and that's pretty much it. Bye!